Welcome to another episode of the Suffer Up podcast with Nate and Ryan. Today is a guest episode with my dad, Sam Beuschel. We'll introduce him here in just a second. If you guys have not listened to our channel, we are Suffer Up, where our mission is to encourage and lead others to suffer with a purpose, striving to level up in life with an emphasis on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. Your two hosts are myself, Nate, and Ryan.
Hello.
Before we dive into today's episode, we want to give a special thank you and shout out to our sponsor, Soft Sock. Soft Socks. If you have listened to the channel, you are very aware of Soft Sock. However, if this is your first time, they make a compression fitting toe sock for your feet. We have been wearing them during all of our ultra runs as well as all of our training runs, and we've thoroughly enjoyed them. They're great people, veteran-owned company here in Northwest Florida. If you would like to try out a pair, I promise your feet will be happy. The discount code for that will be Suffer10. So please sit back, enjoy today's episode as we introduce our guest, Sam Beuschel. Sam is my dad. He is originally born and raised in the UK. Came over here while he was in the Royal Army and met my mother, and you will get to hear some of that story here shortly. He is also a knife maker and owns Beuschel Knives, where he makes custom-made knives for that. I'll let him describe most of those details, so please enjoy today's episode with our guest, Sam Beuschel.
Mr. Beuschel, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to have you.
Thanks.
It's not every day we get an Englishman on the channel.
Yeah. Don't really know how to start. There's a lot of things
That's
to
fine.
talk about.
So you're an Englishman, not in New York, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I do like that song.
Good like that song, right?
Yeah.
So just go ahead and give us just a quick, for our listeners, give us a quick kind of rundown who you are and kind of where you reside now and some of your hobbies and interests and likes and what is Sam into? And then we'll dive into your childhood.
Okay. So we'll reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
Got it. So currently live in Wisconsin, so I enjoy hunting, traditional archery. I've always enjoyed knives, and then a few years ago, after watching Forged in Fire, I got the inspiration to start making them myself. Did the deep dive onto the YouTube channels, and there's so many talented people out there doing some really cool stuff, and I started making knives. So then that kind of grew into a mini business, and then I had to back off from it because it got a bit too busy because I'm a full-time nurse, infection preventionist, so that's my real job, and then the knife making is just a hobby, but really enjoy being outside, and then biking, running, doing those kind of activities as well. And lately I've been running a lot because you, Nate, got me back into it. So
If you've been following us on Instagram, a while back, my dad came down to visit and he had not been running, and we did the leftover 4-miler, and he ended up running almost the entire thing, right?
yeah, I think I was the leftovers at the end.
Yeah. But no, he got out there and ran with us and did a little race, and he really enjoyed it and kind of stuck with it. So
Yeah, I think that was last May.
yeah.
So you've been running again ever since?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
As much as weather permits, I've even been running inside on a track that's
Yeah.
extremely boring because you're just running in circles.
Yeah.
But at least it's something. And then
Yeah.
playing soccer, of course, which
Yeah.
is not boring, but
About
Definitely
6 to 10
help.
miles a week or so.
yeah, I've been trying to do 10 miles a week.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
I haven't been consistent at that over the winter, but
Yeah.
I will be this week and getting into the spring back in Wisconsin coming up. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Spring turkey season's coming up.
that too. That'll
You
be a
put your tags in?
distraction. Yep.
Yep, good.
Yep.
Yeah. Turkey
Uh,
hunting is one of our favorites.
Did you get a chance to run with Nate any while you've been in town?
No, but hopefully this afternoon maybe.
Possibly.
And then after the weekend.
Nice.
That'll be more of a walk.
Yeah.
But
this
that's what I
weekend.
need, like
Yeah.
recovery.
Go
So,
limp.
Yeah.
but doing that race down here in Pensacola last year was the first time. This is going to sound like an exaggeration, but it's absolutely the truth. The first time since the Army, maybe the first time ever, actually, that I realized I can run and enjoy it, and it's actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Instead of being made to do it and having a time hanging over your head that you have to make it by.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just do it and try to improve on your own
Yep.
pace and your own distance or whatever. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always more fun competing against yourself, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just trying to beat your time or feel better than you did last time doing the same distance. It keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
57.
So you're 57. how does your body feel getting into running at the age of 57?
Good. That's a good question. So part of the reason why I didn't like running especially in my midlife adult years, is it hurt. My knees hurt, my shins hurt. But now that I've been doing it consistently, it does. I feel a little stiff and a little sore at the beginning. But once I get into it, then that goes away because my body's becoming conditioned. But what I forgot, but should have known, it just takes longer as you get older.
Yeah.
So once I just decided to do it and be persistent at it, and I noticed, oh wow, these pains are going away.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
That's a good benefit.
Yeah.
I think that's what most people's issue is with running. They say, oh, I don't like running because it hurts. But you got to push through that, work through it, and get past that point, and then it doesn't hurt. Then running doesn't suck.
Yeah.
But everybody's always got the same complaint. Oh, it sucks. It hurts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If I went out and biked 100 miles, that would really suck.
Yeah.
I don't bike.
I'm not cycling. Yeah. So you weren't always a nurse, though, were you?
No.
So let's go back and kind of we'll just start with your childhood. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up.
Yeah.
And kind of what that looked like, and then we'll kind of move through all that.
Yeah, so I was born in London, St. George's Hospital, Tooting area, actually borough of Wandsworth. I'm getting nerdy, but my mom moved out to the small little town, about 10,000 people, kind of semi-rural town in Norfolk, which is northeast of London. So that's where I grew up. So that's the only home I've ever known in England. And in England, you graduate high school at 16, go on to college for 2 years, maybe 3, and university after that. So it's structured a little differently. So 16 is the normal graduation age for high school.
So university is not college?
Correct. They break it down between.
Oh, I thought university was just what they called college over there.
Well, they have colleges within the university.
Okay.
And I'm no academic, so I don't want to misinform anyone. But it's just different. So they have what they call advanced level after high school, which is your A levels, and then on to university from there if you want to, but you don't have to. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah. And back then, I could have gone and it was all paid for by the government.
Really?
I did not know how good I had it.
Yeah.
So instead, I decided to join the Army out of high school and went to a military college for 2 years, which was really kind of like 2 years of basic training. And then after that, I stayed in the Army for another 4 years. And I was a helicopter mechanic.
Okay.
So that was my first job. And then when I came to the States, I went back to school and then took my A&P, airframe and power plant license, and was certified. But the industry had really kind of tanked and was really slumping. And so I bought a book with all these addresses of all these different aviation outfitters, and applied to about 100 different organizations, companies, from Maine to Washington State to Texas to Kansas, like all over the country, and got maybe 6 replies, and they all said basically the same thing: we're not hiring right now.
Dang.
Yeah. So I ended up working at a paper company, and then got into the maintenance department, and then I did that for about 5 years.
Okay.
And that was our sole source of income, stacking cardboard boxes, and then and nothing against that. I met some really fine people, but I mean, it was very much a manual labor job, but it gave me a real respect and appreciation for the hardworking people that I was with, that were doing that for their families, just like I was doing it for mine. And it was a time where I think God used that in my life to help me appreciate people at all levels in society, and not judge people for what they do, which was not to sound like negative about my childhood, but that's kind of part of the English culture a little bit. And certainly the culture within my household, the way I was raised, was your job did kind of reflect the kind of person you were. And then I came here, and it's a different mindset. And that was kind of the start of some of those cultural differences that I became aware of, that helped shaped me and hopefully make me a better person.
Yeah. That's awesome. So rewind just a little bit. You went to university, and your 2 years of basic or whatever, right? And then you got the job title of helicopter mechanic.
Yeah, helicopter technician.
Technician?
They made it sound fancier.
Okay, fair. All right. You get paid just a couple cents extra, or a couple pounds extra, I guess, in England. But
right.
What kind of helicopter did you work on, and kind of what was some of your roles or responsibilities there within the Army? And
Yeah, so just airframe and power plant, so just the frame and the engine, no electronics.
Yep.
And it was the Lynx helicopter and the Gazelle. So the Gazelle was like a light reconnaissance, and the was like a 5-person capacity. And then the Lynx was kind of the do-it-all, because the British Army it's a much smaller country than the U.S. And I don't care what military you serve in anywhere in the world, you always think you're the best in the world.
Yeah.
Whether you are or not, maybe not, it's up for debate, but everybody thinks they're in the best.
Right.
So certainly that was the case in the British Army. And, there was some bragging rights that our pilots had at certain competitions where they beat international competitors in these flying contests and stuff that they did. And, that's all that normal camaraderie stuff. But getting back to my point, the Brits don't have the budget. So they do now, but they didn't then have like an attack helicopter and a reconnaissance helicopter and a troop moving helicopter. The Lynx basically did everything.
Okay.
And it was a very capable aircraft. It held the world speed record at the time for a helicopter of its class. It was super maneuverable. I got tons of back seat time. I did so much, and some front seat time, and I got to fly around and watch the poor guys in the tanks get stuck in the mud on exercise and that kind of stuff. And the pilots always wanted a mechanic with them.
Yeah.
And we used to laugh because the guys that joined the Army Air Corps, some of the Army Air Corps, like the ground crew guys, they joined the Army Air Corps because they wanted to fly, but without becoming a pilot. But they would always drive the trucks and the refueling equipment, and the mechanics got pulled by the pilots to fly with them. So we did more flying than the Army Air Corps guys did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. And like I say, we got to do all this fun flying, and it was always low-level stuff, and often it was like below treetop level, down these little fire lanes in the forest and stuff. And yeah, it was like you'd see on a promotional video.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was really
That's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely a highlight.
Oh, yeah. So you were working on aircraft and all of that. And how did things kind of transpire? Any cool exercises, any cool deployments, or anything that you got to do while in?
Yeah, so part of the gig was, if you were in my role, you were going to go to Northern Ireland. So that was the active duty piece of it. So I got to sent to Northern Ireland. It was a 4-month tour, so it was not very long. Some guys would double up because you got extra pay. You got active duty pay, and then you'd get a reimbursement when you got back because you weren't using room and board. So you got this like stipend kind of feel. And so some guys would do it just for like a savings account.
Sure.
They would volunteer for more tours. But I did the 4-month tour, and at the beginning you do a week of extra training specific to being in Northern Ireland, and at the end of that, all the guys were going back home in their undercover vehicles, and I got a helicopter ride because they needed me back in a hurry. So I got picked up by a helicopter, which was kind of fun. A little presidential feel.
Yeah.
To it. And so yeah, I was over there for 4 months. You do 24-hour shifts, so you're on duty for 24 hours, off for 24. So we'd go to the gym, play soccer, that kind of stuff on our off-duty time. So you live with the same guys, very close-knit group, and yeah, that was my active duty period. That's the only active service that I saw. And as a helicopter mechanic, obviously you're not going out on the streets, although they train you to do that. But I didn't do any of that stuff. So I didn't really feel any more at risk than if I was stationed back in Germany or the UK.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it feels a little cheap to get a medal for that, but technically you're active service, so
Sure.
you get a medal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's how it works sometimes.
Yeah.
And so did you come to the U.S. on Army orders or independently?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. It's kind of pertinent because that's when I met Nate's mom.
Yeah.
But so I got called up to my commanding officer's office one day, and I thought I was going to get really, really chewed out because I had gone home on leave with the only key to one of the stores in my pocket.
Oh.
And I had to like overnight express it back the next day. Perhaps there was another key that I just never knew about, but Anyway, I thought I was going to get in trouble for this, so I get called up, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever been to America?" And I was like, "No, sir." Thinking it was going to be like the punchline too, because we're sending you, you're never gonna, like one of those kind of things. And he was serious, so I had to go get my passport, and I'm coming back the same, I ran back to the barracks with my passport, and because they needed it for the make copies, whatever they did, I don't remember, but. I'm still thinking I'm just going to get chewed out. I just don't know yet what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just
all some elaborate game.
Yeah, but it was this exercise. So we came over on an exercise. Spent 5 weeks down in Arizona, flying our equipment out in the desert.
Nice.
So like desert flying trial ended up being 5 weeks because one of the RAF planes that brought us and had to come back and pick us up broke down. So of the 3 planes that sent the married guys home soon, the first group to go home with the married guys, and then I was a single guy at the time, so I got to stay on for an extra week whilst they fixed the airplane for us. So, which was great because I had met Nate's mom the first weekend, and we just were hanging out like friends, every night after work, because we would get done really early in the afternoon and go back to the hotel from the training grounds, and then Brenda, Nate's mom, would come over and after she got done with her job, and we'd go out to eat, and we'd go out to whatever, movies or whatever, just like 2 people just learning about each other's culture and kind of making friends. And but by the end of the 4 weeks, we were like, this has gotten kind of serious, and we were obviously in love with one another at that point, so that going back really was not easy. Because she didn't think she was ever going to see me again, obviously.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't a few miles apart.
Yeah.
So she lived there in Arizona?
Yeah. She had moved there from Minnesota. That was her first job.
That is a lot of distance between Arizona and the UK.
Yeah. And because C-130s that we flew over and have a relatively short range, so we flew from Yuma to Omaha, Nebraska, and then Nebraska to Newfoundland, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in Canada, we stayed in a hotel overnight. I wrote her a letter telling her my true feelings and everything, and I took it to I posted it from the airport in Newfoundland, Gander, Newfoundland, and she never got it. To this day, she never received that letter.
Oh, man.
Somebody else got it.
Maybe, I don't know. But then when I got back to Germany, then I wrote to her again. Of course, no internet back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
Sounds
hard
like Canada's UPS is as good as ours.
Yeah.
Posted it from Canada. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, it was a shame she never got it,
Yeah.
There's good stuff in that letter.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good letter.
It was.
There's nothing worse than having to rewrite something that you already wrote, because the authenticity of the first one is always better than the second one.
That's true.
Never going to be the same.
So the fact that she still said, okay, this guy's okay after the second letter is a good indicator of that it was meant to happen.
I guess so.
Yeah. So was there anything else that you guys were doing in Yuma, or were you guys just kind of flying around? That was it?
Yep.
Okay.
Just training in the desert, because they've got desert and some mountains out there, right?
Yeah.
So you get some of that true, like our people would always go over there and train for Afghanistan.
Yep.
Because you get the mountains and desert at the same time.
And it was a classified exercise, so they told us it would be declassified at some point in the future. They expected that to happen.
Yeah.
But then if it was, no one ever told me, so I don't know if it's been declassified or not.
That's fair.
So I'm just going to leave it at that.
I'd have to kill you.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Way to hold true, however umpteen years later.
Yeah.
If pictures can get declassified online as quick as they are about these bombs and stuff going off all over the place, I'm sure it has been. But way to honor your word.
Thanks. And I mean, it was the Cold War era.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Cold War is obviously over now.
Sure.
And there are so many things, I'm sure, on both sides that we know about each other.
Oh, yeah.
That back then was, secret, but now isn't.
Sure.
So, but who knows?
That's fair. Cool.
Yeah. But it was really fun.
Oh,
it was a really good time.
Cold War era, so you guys were friendly with the U.S. by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Although one of the first things that got said to me when we got off the airplane in Yuma, Arizona, by some of the like security staff there at the base that we landed at, was comments about 1776 and I was just kind of like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Like what are they referring to?
Yeah.
Kind of, I was pretty ignorant actually on U.S. Independence history. Not surprisingly.
Yeah. What do they teach you in England growing up about the U.S. and how we got here, or do they just not even
Nothing.
really talk about it?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
It's 'cause
I had a
you
very
just
poor
won.
history lesson.
It's
History
because we
education.
That's interesting. Yeah.
that's
History
funny,
is written
yeah.
by the victors, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We'll
That's
talk
true.
about the successes of England. Yeah, that's funny.
Interesting.
So then, share with us, because around that time, having kind of already known the story, of course, because I'm your son, but
Cheater.
I cheated. I have the answers to the test.
We're gonna test him later, Ryan.
Okay.
I don't think he remembers as much as he's suggesting.
When did
Good.
you become a U.S. citizen?
2000.
2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So you met Mom. You went back to England.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's a big part of your life that happened during the next like 4 years, right?
Yep.
You want to kind of open that up on what kind of happened, transpired through that?
Yeah. So like meeting Mom, dating long distance for 15 months, and then we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to
15
come up.
months all by letter, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We had a
no internet, no phone.
right.
Wow.
So we got together a few times through the year. I'm not proud of this, but I will share that I may have bribed the leave clerk. I won't mention his name to give me some extra weeks of leave so that I have more time to visit.
Wow.
Because it was all paper then. There was no
Yeah.
computer thing. So if someone forgot to document the time off that you had already had, you got to keep that time off.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You
But
weren't
anyway,
doing it to escape the army. You were doing it for
right. It was
the
for
love of
love,
your life,
right?
you know?
So that's
That's
rational.
That's
all right.
acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we dated long distance, a few trips back and forth. Then came over to get married, and in that time, I realized that we had a strong relationship. And 35 years later, I think that has stood the test of time. But decided to get married. It was the only way we could be together because of the visa requirement. For me to live in the U.S. anyway.
Okay. I was going to say, so
Yep.
does that mean she got to come back with you or you got to stay here?
Right.
Yeah.
So the plan was for me, because I was leaving the army anyway.
Okay.
The plan was for me to come here. It made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Although many years later, she did tell me that she would have happily moved to England. So that could have gone that way. But at the time, I just assumed she didn't want to.
Yeah.
And like communication is everything. But I mean, the thoughts of coming to America was like getting to live in a movie, right? Because most of the movies in the world, it seems
I mean,
like
I think you made the right choice.
Thanks. Thank you. I do too.
Yeah.
Especially when you see the state of affairs now.
Yeah.
This many years on. But so I had to get the visa approved, which was a K1 visa to get married, and then you either get 30 or 90 days in which to get married after you've entered the U.S. So they stamp your passport when you come in, and we got married. It must be 90 days because I came here February 28th, 1991, and we got married March 30th. And obviously that's more than 30 days, so it must be a 90-day window, or it was then. And then you have to go back to the immigration office, prove that you got married, and then you have to go back a year later and prove that you're still married, and then you have to go back 5 years later and prove that you're still
I
married.
didn't know that.
Nope.
So this is how you do it legally.
Correct. Yeah. So, and you have to, in order to get the initial visa, you have to have blood work done. And so I had to have blood work done in the UK and a chest x-ray. And I think that was primarily for HIV screening and TB. And then when you come here in that 90-day window, you have to repeat those tests.
Wow.
As I recall. But I remember definitely going to the doctors again after getting here. And I'm pretty sure they did lab work and an x-ray. So that's just like confirmation that nothing's changed. And then that's it for the medical stuff. But then you just have to prove you're married. And then at 5 years, if you meet the requirements, that they accept that that you proved successfully that you're lived here, held a job here, or that you're still married, they grant you permission to apply for citizenship.
Wow.
And then that's
quite the process.
Another process on top of it. Yeah.
Jeez.
And then you have to take the test and then wait for the swearing in process.
I'm pretty sure, though, that test that they made you take, most people graduating high school wouldn't be able to pass.
Maybe
Nowadays,
not. I mean, it's
probably
pretty
not.
specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
sidebar on that note of kids in high school nowadays, kids in college too. I was at the UWF pool, which is our local university here. I was at the pool sitting in the sauna the other day, and a lady came in. There was a college age girl already in there. A lady came in and said, can I sit here or whatever? And the girl's like, yeah, I'm going to be getting out in a couple minutes, but I'm not sure how long I've been in here. And she looks out the sauna door, it's glass door, and you can see a clock right there on the wall. It's just a standard analog clock. She goes, I don't know how to read that thing. And the lady proceeded to try and teach her how to read an analog clock. But that whole interaction just blew my mind that a college age adult doesn't know how to read an analog clock.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have we come that far?
Wow. That's scary.
It was scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if they'd be able to pass an immigration test. They can't even read a clock.
What time is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think part of it is that it's very specific. The questions are quite, specific.
Yeah.
That you maybe wouldn't like to learn in school anyway. But I bought the book on how to pass the U.S. citizenship test. And actually, when they gave me the test to do, it was like 10 questions.
Really?
And I didn't even know it was the test. It was like the immigration guy was asking me all these other questions, and he just pushes the sheet across the table to me, and he's like, fill that out. And I start just answering the questions, which, I mean, if he was trying to like de-stress the situation, he did really well at it, because I was like, okay, this is weird. And I'm thinking, when's the test? He's like, and I wasn't even like connecting the dots that this was the test.
Pre-test questions.
Yeah, I could have been, and it was like on a piece of paper that had been photocopied 1,000 times, so it was like you could hardly read what the questions were. But then he takes it back and he looks at it and says, okay, you passed the test. And I was like, oh, cool.
Which part?
What a relief. Yeah.
Because
I was obviously a little anxious about it.
Yeah.
As I am about most
Expecting
things.
this 100-question test, Scantron level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a
ACT
room with
or whatever,
door closed, the clock ticking,
Empty your
everybody
pockets.
breathing. Yeah.
Clock that you can't read ticking on the wall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. So then you became a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
And that would have been in 2000, you said?
2000, yeah.
Yep.
In Wisconsin. I got sworn in the Milwaukee City Hall as opposed to the federal courtroom.
I remember that because
the outlaw biker trial was going on at the federal courtroom. Yeah.
And the Emily got her head stuck in the courtroom.
That's a good story.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so it was this old wooden ornate courtroom with like a gallery on each side that faced each other.
I remember it still.
And then the judge sat kind of equidistant in the middle.
Yeah.
And so there was all the people being sworn in on one side, and then their family that were watching on the other side, as if it was like the jury and the spectators gallery in like a court room setup. And Emily, who was about 3 at the time, 5, a little bit older. No, 3. Yeah,
3.
Can't do. So the clock. Now I can't do math. So.
Yeah.
That's all right. 3.
Anyway,
yeah.
So she decided to put her head through the ornate curved railings, and which were wider at the top than the bottom. But she started at the top and then slid down to the bottom, and then she couldn't get her head out and panicked and started screaming. And this girl had what I used to describe as a force field scream.
Oh, geez.
It was it would repel people.
The mean kid's brothers, her nickname was Foghorn because of how loud she could get. Yeah. Yeah, I remember her screaming. I remember that vividly. Yeah. I'm like,
so mom extricated her from the railings.
Yep.
And then, of course, she's still crying and screaming and sobbing. So she took her out, because this is like during the proceedings.
Yep.
So she goes out of the like glass door into the entry area and calms her down. And she goes to go back in. And there's an Immigration Nationalization Service officer there, INS officer there, with a gun, and says, "Ma'am, you can't go in there. There's a proceeding and swearing in happening." And she said, "I know. That's why I came out here. I came out here so I wouldn't disturb it, because my husband's in there getting sworn in, and Brenda's getting a little bit, agitated because this guy is barring her re-entry." And so he's like, "Well, I'm sorry, you can't go in there." So she looks at the officer and says, "Well, you're going to have to stop me," and walks right past and goes right back in.
Did he stop her?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Reconsidered
his decision, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, she told me about that afterwards, and I'm like, seriously? You said that to like one of the most powerful agents in the U.S.? Because they're like federal agents. Yeah. They're not like, their jurisdiction is pretty limitless.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I wasn't going to miss the swearing in.
And he
So
wasn't
it's
going to forcefully stop a angry mom.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
With a screaming child.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would have
have
been
a little bit
bad.
of understanding.
He
He was
tossed
just
you this
enforcing
kid.
his rules, but he's like, well, it obviously means a lot to her or whatever. He's okay.
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
seems harmless.
Yeah.
Let her through.
So even an agent with a gun isn't going to stand between my wife and me.
Oh, there you go.
Gosh.
Yep.
That's quite
What a
powerful,
love
Dad.
story. This got deep.
Yeah.
So, there's a little bit of a section there from the time that you swore in to be an American citizen after being married for several years, and you getting out of the Army.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to go over? So you came back from exercise, and there's a lot that kind of happened in those couple years when you were in the Army.
Yeah. You mean like we started having a family?
Well, yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about your Lionel and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah,
how
my
you
stepfather.
transitioned out of the Army. I think that's a key
Oh,
part of
yeah.
your
I'm sorry,
story.
Nate. I didn't really understand kind of where you were leading
That's
me.
okay. No worries.
Yeah. So, So absolutely. So my mom had my biological father.
Mm-hmm.
Complicated story as most family things can be, but he wasn't really in the picture for my growing up. So I'm from about six onward, and some things transpired more recently that have illuminated some of the reason behind that. I won't dive into
No,
that.
that's fine. Yeah.
But my mom ended up remarrying, so I had a stepfather who was significantly older than my mom. And when I had just proposed to your mom
Mm-hmm.
in August of 1990, the Gulf War, or August or September, the Gulf War I broke out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was called back. But because I'd already signed my discharge papers, and then when I told my mom about what was going on with the Gulf and having to be deployed, she told me that my stepfather, Lionel, had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. So I told my commanding officer this, and so those two things together, basically, they sent me back to the UK to be attached to a unit that wasn't going to the Gulf. And so I didn't get deployed. And so then I served my last few months in the Army at home with my mom, kind of helping her through the loss of her husband, my stepfather, and then serving at this unit in the UK until I discharged in February of 91. So so during that time, most of the time, actually, I was home with my mom.
Yeah.
So, and then after that is when I came over. But,
So you touched on your actual biological dad. We don't have to open up all the details on that necessarily because that's a really long story. But you just recently reconnected with him, correct?
Yeah. I'm 23. So found out a lot of the stuff I'd been told about him as a child wasn't completely true.
Yeah.
And there was a whole lot more to the story.
Yeah, that's
and then
fine.
started to see his side of it. So then in
Mhm.
23, I flew to Denmark, which is where he's originally from and where he'd gone back to live, and has lived there for many, many, many years, and reconnected with him.
How did it feel reconnecting with him after all those years?
It was really surreal because it was someone I hadn't seen for over almost 50 years,
Mm-hmm.
but yet I recognized him and felt like he was my dad and felt like connected with him, and I remembered him because I was, like, say, about 6 or 7 when he left. So you remember those childhood memories.
Yeah.
And so it still felt like the same person. Yeah, it was really, really quite surreal. And it was hard for him, too,
Mm-hmm.
because, I mean, I kind of only imagine not really having been part of your child's life for that long, but wanting to have been.
Yeah.
That must be a terrible thing to go through. And that was really why I went back to repatriate with him, was more about trying to give him a gift than it was about trying to receive a gift.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can't have those years back when we both feel that loss.
Mm-hmm.
But we both now feel connected to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And you learn so much about yourself when you know who your parents are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just your own little quirky character traits or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's my mom. Oh, that's my dad.
Yeah.
You know, when you know your parents, you know more about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That I was missing more than I realized I was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of probably like understood forgiveness there with the reconnection.
Yep.
And I just thought that like I said, I'm not trying to pull a ton out of that story, but just I thought that was an integral part to kind of
Yeah,
your childhood
absolutely.
kind of coming to a nice closure there. So I wanted to
Yeah.
capture that.
And I mean, I was the death of my stepfather, and that what was I going to say? I was going to say like that kind of transition of going from that happened at a time of transition is what I'm trying to say, and just the spiritual aspect of that, because I went from thinking I was going to go to the Gulf and not knowing what that was going to look like, and that was kind of scary. You think about potentially dying, in a war situation. And so you start to think about your own mortality, and then my stepfather died, and obviously, again, you're faced with the realities of life and death, and that we don't live forever, and at some point we're going to die, and that could be sooner rather than later. And so God used that in my life to lead me to Him.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go next.
Yeah,
like during that time is when you came to know the Lord.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was that in the background, but also I was around my mom is a born again Christian. My sister is, and then their friend group. So I was hanging out with the friends of my sister, and they were witnessing to me, and they were pointing out verses to me like, I always paraphrase. I'm always ashamed of this, but seek the Lord at a time He may be found, and then backing that up with an explanation of, God will call you, but He's not going to call you forever. He gives you those opportunities in life, but you don't know when your last opportunity will be. And no one comes to the Father, or no one comes to the Son, but that the Father gives Him to the Son. The Father does the work. And those that Jesus has are those that God has brought. Yeah, and so although we go to God through Jesus, it's God's work, the work of the Holy Spirit in our life that draws us. We can't just make it happen on our own. We have to seek the Lord, but He is the one that has to bring us to that place where we can be saved and can repent. So God was really at work in my life through these people and through their prayers. And then when I did get saved, so many people that I was then in like Bible studies with and started going to church with were like, "Oh, we've been praying for you. We're so excited." And it was just like such a confirmation, like of how God works. And yeah. But I grew up learning the truth of the Bible. I grew up learning about what it takes to be saved, what is involved, that Jesus died for my sins. But I remember saying this, like I had always hoped that when that plane was burning and heading towards the ground, that I would have time to just say a quick confessional prayer and be saved before I died. But in the meantime, I could just keep going on with the, life I was living of drinking too much and those things that you do when you don't have a reason not to.
Yeah.
I guess. Maybe I didn't say that very well, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
I was living for myself, not for Christ.
Yeah. Was that before or after Lionel passed?
That was after he died. So he never saw me saved, which was a shame because he had gotten saved later in life.
Yeah.
And I know he was one of those people that were praying for me too. Yeah. So.
Well, God works all things to His glory.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think your stepfather had to die for you to come to Christ, but I think that He used that circumstance to help lead you there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure if he's in, which I know he's in, I'm sure he's in glory with God. He's in heaven. And I'm sure that He knows I was saved from being in heaven with the Lord and with the angels rejoicing when people are saved. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Was Nate's mom a Christian when you met her?
Oh, yeah. So that's like the most miraculous story because when we were dating, and I mean, I was not a Christian when we met, so I wasn't like praying and asking God to lead me to the right person for a life partner. But yet He led me to the right person for a life partner because we never talked about anything spiritual. And we talked about a lot of stuff like children and did we want to have children and how we would raise children and like those kind of like dreams and ideals and things, major life things. But we never ever talked about anything spiritual during that dating period. And then around after Lionel had passed away, and I was on a phone call with Brenda, and I told her, I said, I was at the doorstep of accepting the Lord, and like I was feeling convicted, and I was feeling drawn, and I was feeling the guilt of my sin, and that feeling of I can't go on like this, and I was at the end of my rope. And I remember telling Brenda that, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a Christian. And then almost, like holding the phone away from my ear because I was like afraid of the reaction I was going to get. And she was like, oh, that's funny because I've been thinking the same thing.
Oh, wow.
And then within 24 hours of each other, we both knelt and prayed and asked for forgiveness and got saved.
Wow.
And so then we had to change our lifestyle, which was great. I mean,
Yeah.
that was not a thing. But when I came over to the States on that visa to get married, we were living completely different lives than we had been before because we'd been changed. And that transformation was very obvious. So it was hard to cohabit because out of necessity we had to.
Yeah.
But our wedding was a month away. So we had to like build in some safeguards there.
Yeah.
To keep that kind of physical separation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we did, praise God. And so we were both married as Christians, and what a blessing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's so powerful that you guys came to that conclusion separately, but then did it together in a way.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
different
amazing.
backstories
Yeah.
on either side, but God had been at work in our lives our entire life. Her great uncle and family, who were Christians who lived in Washington, had prayed for my wife, who was being raised in a very non-Christian home. So again, like God preserving those that He preserves, and the result of power of prayer, right? And so that changed her life and made her question things that she was taught about spiritual things, and made her have some spiritual mindedness, because she's so unlike the rest of her close family, in her beliefs and that kind of thing as a child.
Yeah.
And she said, and people have said that to her, and I've said it to her, and I've had other people ask me the same thing, like, how is your wife so different? Like, how is she so different than the rest of her immediate family? Well, because God had His hand on her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That should have been the story I led with.
No, that's okay. I was trying to get it out of
No,
you.
that was good.
Like, it's fine. We got it now. So
Yeah. I'm a little clueless.
no, that's okay.
don't
I
connect
mean,
the
when you
dots
when you
sometimes.
sit down in front of a microphone and you try to tell your life story, so to speak, it's hard. So it
Mine
helps
goes
that
blank.
I kind of know the story, and it worked out perfect because Ryan asked the questions I was going to ask, and he does not know the story, so it worked out perfect.
I'm naturally curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you entice the curiosity. So
But I understand the blankness. We had to record my episode about me twice because I sat down here and just
Yeah.
like left out half my life.
yeah,
Yeah.
just a mic fart.
Yeah. I've never
Dude.
done anything like this before, so it's
Yeah,
definitely new.
You're doing a great
You're
job.
doing great. Yeah.
Thanks.
but we're not done. All right, so
But wait, there's more.
but wait, there's more. So yeah, that's a great encompassing of your life, childhood, Royal Army. You come to the States, become a citizen, you start having a family. Let's talk about more the present day Sam. So you
Okay.
worked at a company testing fuel controls.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You did that for several years, and then
11
you
years,
made a
yeah.
transition into another career, total career
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. It was an aerospace job, so it was testing main engine controls or fuel control units for aircraft engines, which amazingly complex and fascinatingly interesting job for about 5 years.
And then you're bored?
Yeah, and that's just me. I'm too much of a rolling stone, and that was too much of a job that involved just machinery and not people. And I realized I needed more people contact, but also a spiritual perspective of feeling like I needed to do things for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked with one of the guys I worked with, because there were 4 of us in this little test cell where we each had our control stands and ran our fuel controls, and tested and calibrated them. But we would chit chat throughout the day and stuff. And anyway, this guy, his wife was a nurse, and he's like, "Sam, you should be a nurse. Like, it's a perfect job for you. They just sit around and don't do anything all day." And I'm like, "Oh, well, thanks, Barry. Why'd you say that?" And I undeniably was not the right job for me, because I would spend more time trying to talk to people than actually calibrate these fuel controls, because I wanted to interact with people, and I was just bored with just standing in one place working.
But your
on
work
the equipment.
environment was you're in what, a 20 by 20 room with a machine and one other guy?
And a blast door in the ceiling in case there's an explosion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That always made us feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
We
got
wouldn't
that.
survive, but
exciting.
yeah, the
Yeah.
walls would stay in place because the blast
No
door.
windows, none of that.
Right.
Yeah. Smell of jet fuel
Yep.
running
Yep.
through the.
Which would make your skin blister if you got it on your skin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not your hands because your hands are more callous, but like if you got it on your arms or once I walked through a stream of it and it sprayed and it got on my buttocks
Mhm.
and I welted up on.
Ouch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was not fun.
No, not at all. So you did that for how many years?
11 years.
Yep.
And then like you said, so anyway, after Barry put this thought in my head about becoming a nurse and it fit with like my desire to be working with people. And then I realized I need to use the skills that I felt God had given me to benefit people. And I didn't feel like I was doing that in that job that I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great job, and I will forever be thankful for that time and the people that I met, because again, I learned about people and their value. But so I started going back to night school to get the classes I needed to be eligible to do nursing clinicals, and that was about a 5-year process. And then for 5 years of 3 semesters a year, was taking 1 to 2 classes until I got everything in place, and then I got into the nursing clinicals, and I had to quit my job. And Mom had gone back to school, got her master's degree to move up the pay scale as a teacher. So we saved some money. So with the money that we saved, that paid for the education, which was a tech college, so it was a bit more affordable. And then I ended up getting my associate's degree. But Mom had the foresight to see that need and start preparing for it. And that I'm super thankful that she did. And then, so I didn't have any student debt when I came out of that. And we were able to live off her income. And I worked like part-time as a nurse's aide to pay for like groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
So we made it through. We had a couple of great vacations. Went out to Colorado, up in the mountains, two
Mhm.
summers.
I remember that.
And I look back and think, how did we afford to do all that? But
Yeah.
God blessed us. And yeah, we had some really, it was some great vacations.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did anybody at Woodward try to talk you out of going to nursing school?
No,
They're
everybody
like,
was,
see you, Sam.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody was,
No, I'm not implying you were like
no,
bad. It's just,
but
it brings up the point.
If the job doesn't fit,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard
it's
to have
hard
the ethic.
to shove you in there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's equally beneficial for them to find somebody who does fit the role than it is for you to
True.
leave and go
True.
somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, that's like, I think God used that to illuminate in
Yeah.
me
Mhm.
the areas of character deficit
Mm.
where I needed to improve my work ethic. And yeah, because clearly there was some areas for improvement there, you
Mhm.
know. But I mean, on the flip side of that, I worked really hard to get the qualifications that took me to the next job.
Yeah.
So like you say, it's putting
Yeah.
the effort like where the passion is.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
when those two things align, that's when people really succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been a nurse for how many years now?
17.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Name all the departments and experience that you have as a nurse.
Oh, yeah. So I started medical surgical floor.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to the intensive care unit.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went to the cardiac catheterization lab,
Mhm.
which also did interventional radiology procedures
Mm-hmm.
and other cardiac procedures. And then from there, I went to infection prevention. Then COVID showed up. I left infection prevention at the beginning of COVID, went back to medical surgical floor taking care of COVID patients. And I was also the admin supervisor for the hospital on the night shift. So I did those two jobs simultaneously because it was like a split hours. So half the time I'd be the admin supervisor. So that's like the hospital coordinator supervisor for the entire hospital. And this is in Wisconsin. So it's a smaller 58-bed, wonderful hospital, rural. COVID was actually a little aside here. We used to ship patients to the bigger facilities. But during COVID was the only time we were flying patients to us from all over because we had open ICU beds and other the bigger facilities didn't. So that was kind of weird. That was during the admin supervisor role. So from the admin supervisor role, I got a little bit burned out with COVID and the admin supervisor role.
I think everybody in healthcare did.
What a busy
Yeah.
time to be in
Right. It
a
was
supervisor
nuts.
position.
Yeah.
Wow.
COVID wasn't crazy in Metro Atlanta.
Oh, I'm
It was
sure.
nuts.
Did you
Yeah.
switch out of infection prevention because it didn't work? We all got COVID anyways.
Doing a
No,
great job.
it was. I just wanted to go back to the bedside.
I got
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was feeling a little insecure in that role at that time, to be
Mhm.
honest. But anyway, so I went back to the bedside, and then after getting burned out, I decided I needed to reinvigorate my career. And one of the things I'd always wanted to do was labor and delivery.
Hmm.
But it's a little daunting as a man going into a labor and delivery environment
Yeah.
because it's not the classic fit, right?
Mhm.
So I applied for a job at a different hospital, part of the same healthcare system, but a bigger facility, so in Madison, Wisconsin. And they hired me. And so I went up there and worked on the floor there. But the environment, the culture, and my own personality, they ultimately kind of, although I loved the work, I loved the patients, the babies. I mean, that was cool.
Pretty
And it's like-
rewarding job, I would imagine.
Oh, yes. There's some very, very, very sad moments too with people have babies that die.
Yeah.
That's tragic and the worst kind of tragedy when it happens at the beginning of life, not at the end.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Different
Yeah.
from being 8 seconds old or 80 years old.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. But we won't get into that. But so I ended up leaving there. But partly it was such. I mean, I was 50 something, early 50s. So as you get older, like educational transitions are more difficult. The brain's a little less flexible. You're a little bit more set in your ways, right? And so that was that alone. And then I think I was the first male ever to work at that hospital in labor and delivery,
Oh, wow.
as a nurse anyway. And then you need the support. You need the support of your colleagues. But I didn't fit because of some of my views around, like, I'll just say it, but the abortion issue.
Mm-hmm.
And when I would ask questions, because I was really seeking to understand abortion from the medical perspective,
Mhm.
when we talk about the medical necessity of ending a pregnancy, I wanted to know what that really meant, what that really looked like in true medical terms, not politically veiled terms that we are used to hearing. And no one can answer those questions, or we're not willing to. But in that process, I revealed a lot of my beliefs about abortion. And I also questioned some beliefs that people had. Like, we would see these women come in who had prolonged bleeding after an abortion, and they would be suffering for weeks after having had this procedure. But they clearly, which if it was a safe procedure, why are they still having these bleeding issues?
Yeah.
And I said that once, in the nurses' station, like, oh, I thought abortion was supposed to be safe. Well, we've had 3 in the last week that have come in with, like, the byproducts of what they call the products of conception. Is a nice way of saying leftover baby bits. They call it the products of conception. I mean, it could be placenta. It could be, related to that piece of anatomy. But these moms are coming in and they needed our help. And then they would have to go back and get a DNC done, which was under sedation, heavy sedation, or anesthesia, because obviously it's not comfortable. And so, when you say things like that, obviously you expose yourself, like, what your political views are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that didn't fit. And then I felt like people were withdrawing from me and I needed their professional support. And so I just thought, I just need to go, I need to move on. So I left there
Mhm.
and I went back to cardiology, the electrophysiology lab, which for me was the worst job I could have picked. I hated that. And then so I talked to my manager and she was like, Sam, you're obviously not happy. Just move. Just go back to something else. So then I went back to Monroe, where I had started my career, and went back to family birth. And I did that for a year, and then the infection prevention position came open, so I went back to
Nice.
just because I felt like it really fit my personality.
It was a full circle, though.
Yeah.
You started
Mhm.
Monroe, went to Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I brought that up just to say, like, the beauty of nursing is you can, like, you move departments so much, not in, like, a bad way, but moving the departments like that gives you freshness and,
Yeah.
Always trying to find new things to get better at and different clientele and patient background. So
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems like the options are almost endless, even as much as going from one place to another.
Yeah.
If you were in the same department, even at a different place, it may be a completely different culture and environment.
Totally.
That's interesting.
And from rural Monroe to metropolis, not that Madison's a huge metropolis, but
Sure.
it's a totally different culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So you were
quite
in infection prevention in Monroe a while back, and now
Yeah.
you're back in that.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Is
Yeah.
that what you said that you felt? How did you phrase it? You felt a little insecure in that role.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I did it. The first time I did it was
Yeah.
really related to the leadership I had at the time,
Gotcha.
and maybe my own insecurities, and just feeling like I was going to get fired.
Well, there you go.
Because like you didn't know what you were doing, or you
Well,
just
it was
did.
just I can be a little. I'm a passionate person, so I can get a little zealous, and when you've invested in a project that you're trying to see will really help patients
Yeah.
and make some improvements, and you're kind of given this task, go ahead and do it, and then I got caught up in it, and then I
Gotcha.
had an exchange with a leader who she really didn't have any skin in the game ultimately, but she was making decisions and not really listening to me, and I got really frustrated, and that came out, and my boss at the time happened to be in that meeting, and rightly so, perhaps chastised me for it, but then I ended up getting like a disciplinary action as a result of it, and then I don't know, I got, like, say, my own insecurities. I kind of started to think, well, I need to move on because maybe this isn't, maybe this isn't going to bear well for me in the long run. So, and I think maybe a recognition of the fact that I definitely do get a little bit impassioned.
Yeah.
With like,
I've been called abrasive before, and it sounds like you're kind of abrasive too.
So what was the write-up?
Yeah, I definitely need to learn some refinement.
Sandpaper has its use, but it can also rub you wrong.
So nothing against my manager. I don't want to like paint this picture
no.
at the time, but it just like there was that fear there.
Yeah.
Write-ups are just, most of them are subjective anyway. I've gotten a couple of them.
I take things way too seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, not to dismiss like the benefit of those moments.
Yeah.
Because that's when we grow, right?
Mhm.
And I preach this to other people. Like I was once told something about my character that really stung. And the person told me I was vindictive.
Mm.
And I said, I am not vindictive. And I will make you pay for that comment. No, I didn't say that. But I said I am not vindictive. And then I got to thinking, I'm like, why would he say that? That was just not me. But the more I thought about it and the more life went on, I was like, he was right.
Yeah.
So Craig Rupp, if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah.
Because that helped me get that part of my life under control that I wasn't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have been able to do that if he hadn't pointed it out. So those moments are painful, and yet they bring growth and improvement. So it was so worth hearing him say that. And the write-up was the same way for me. But that was why I left that department.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Very cool. So that was let's talk about total shift here. Let's talk about knives. So in your downtime, like you're a nurse at the hospital, you work in Monday through Friday now, and you talked about traditional archery, you hunt with a longbow, and you make knives. So
hold on, pause on that. Why traditional archery?
That
seems like
I got bored with the compound archery.
Okay.
It just became too easy.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for like the successes that I had with the compound bow, but I just wanted to make it a little bit harder. And then when I shot traditional, it's different. So compound archery, the bows are so fast. I mean, the technology is incredible.
Yeah.
And you can be really accurate with them because you've got the sights and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not as connected with the arrow. And if you've never shot traditional archery, I don't expect people to understand that. But the arrow is going so quick in these little fletches, you can't hardly even see the arrow. You just see it appear in the target sometimes. But when you're shooting a traditional bow, you're like right behind the arrow, and you've got big feathery fletches, and you can see them. And I always like bright color fletches for this very reason. You can see that arrow just arc its way to the target, and it's just like addictive. It's like shooting tracers.
Say it. Ted Nugent. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You're talking about like the mystical flight of the arrow.
There it is. Old Ted Nugent. We used to watch that as a kid.
Yeah, we did.
You get to see the mystical flight of the arrow.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Ted Nugent's old hunting shows?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah. The beast is dead. We put one right through the boiler room.
He talk about a passion personality.
Yeah.
He would, I think, be the definition of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Backstraps tonight.
Yeah. No, but I mean, once you get that, feel that connection,
Yeah.
it's just like it's like shooting tracers versus non-tracer rounds. You can see them going down range. It's just like different.
It is a lot more fun.
Yeah,
seeing
and it's
tracers.
harder to accomplish the hit, so it makes it more of the reward. The challenge is harder. The reward is higher. The two go hand in hand.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Chasing hard things.
But I stopped with professionally made traditional equipment. So I mean, they're individual. Like I make my knives by hand. They're made by guys who do the same thing, making bows, right? Made in their basements, their garage workshops, wherever. But some guys will go on and make like self bows that are made out of a single piece of wood. What I shoot are like laminated bows that are made with like glass fiber to protect the wood and give it a little bit more zip. But some guys will just keep going and they'll just get more and more primitive and they'll start shooting like river cane arrows with flint tips and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, my regression, so to speak, stopped at like professionally made traditional equipment. Yeah, it's still more challenging of an art than.
It's still 2026, and I still want to actually kill something.
Right. Yeah.
Might as well adopt the modern stuff a little bit, like real arrows.
Guys do the same thing with like firearms, so they'll go back to muzzle loaders and like flintlocks even and that kind of stuff. Or
that's true.
I started hunting with a pistol as opposed to a revolver as opposed to a rifle for a while for that same reason because it was just made it more fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
So traditional archery and handmade knives.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at the beginning you watched Forged and Fired and was like that was cool, but you naturally have kind of a knack for it. I mean, like I have one of the first knives you made. What, 3? How long have you been making them now?
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's been a few
8 years
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been making them
by fast.
So you can almost say you're an expert level now. 8 years.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I would never say that about me because there are some guys out there who just blow me away with their skills.
Yeah.
It's like next level and then some.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anyone's listening and is really into like the knife art. People like Kyle Royer, they have YouTube channels. I mean, his knives sell for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
The guy that started Montana Knife Company out in Montana, he was the youngest ever master bladesmith in America. And I mean, these guys have got skills that I don't possess. But for like people, I hate being self-promoting, but at shows, when I sell them at shows, people always tell me, you're not charging enough for your work. And, you know, I get these compliments that make me feel good about what I'm doing and maybe make me realize that perhaps I don't value my skills as much as I should. But I'd rather do that. I'd rather undervalue myself in that sense than become arrogant or cocky about what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would never say I'm like an expert level, but
no, that's kind of a joke.
True
that was a
feelings come
backhanded
out.
compliment.
Yeah, if ever.
No, your knives are beautiful. Like you do a great job with
thanks.
them. I have several of them that you've made and given them as gifts to other people. And I mean, what's cool about your process versus other people is you genuinely encapsulate a custom made knife. Like
thanks.
So if somebody calls you and says, "I want a knife," how do you help them navigate? Because
that's my favorite. Yeah, I love that because then I can tailor make it. So I want to know how they're going to use it, how they're going to sharpen it, what other knives they have, and how they use those, and how they sharpen those, those kind of things. There's so much that goes into the design. You know, the blade shape, the edge thickness, the handle materials. Are you someone who's going to tell me you're not going to put it in the dishwasher, but you're going to do it anyway? You know, things like, I don't generally ask that question, but I like to try to get an idea of like, and sometimes people will want a certain color in the handle, or I've gone as far as to custom make an etch, like a stencil to etch the daughter's name into the blade, because it was going as a gift to the dad, but the mom wanted the daughter's name.
That's cool.
On the blade. Yeah. So and then it had 3 pins. The pins are what help hold the handles together, but they kind of, with today's modern adhesives, they honestly are almost more decorative sometimes than they are utility. But she put 3 pins in there because it was a pin of like mom, dad, and their daughter.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was on this beautiful emerald green piece of wood that I handpicked out for them at a show I happened to be at. And I sent her a text like, hey, with this, do you like this piece of wood? And it was a green piece of maple that had been dyed and stabilized.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of stuff, like, it is so cool when I can, like, work with the customer to pick out something that really fits the personality, fits their artistic preferences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems like a common theme with you. Like one word that I would sum up Sam as is connection. You want to be connected to people, to your work,
Thanks.
to
That's a compliment,
nature
Ryan.
and what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that you said is all come back to connection.
I appreciate
from
that.
the jobs that you wanted to regressing back to a compound bow to now making your own knives. You want to feel connected to the process and the item.
That's a pretty profound analysis. And yeah, so thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just an observation.
Yeah. I think the more I think about that, the more it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had anyone like point that out. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming on the podcast. I'll point out random stuff.
Yeah, we'll pull all sorts of stuff out of you today.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
We're going to start Suffer Up Counseling Services. You can call 1-800. No, just kidding.
1-800 and call Nate.
No, I don't know about that. But it is like, on lieu of that connection, when you just sit down and talk with people, a lot of things can come from conversations.
Right.
When the conversation just has natural authenticity, we jokingly say at my station, like, I'll be off, and like, I've almost empowered my lieutenant a little bit to have a counselor mindset, to try to pull things out of people and try to help them. He'll text me randomly now and he'll say, well, had another counseling session here at the Squad 14 house. Yeah, well, that's good. That's a good thing.
That's
like,
awesome.
Trying to, show, like, that's also what we do here at Suffer Up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people in a leadership position like that should be taking on that responsibility of recognizing their people and what they're dealing with and counseling them, whether it be for positive or negative.
Right.
Everybody needs that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we'll have to get you back on at some other point to do like a knife episode or just a knife, the cool thing about working with steel and all that. There's a lot there that could be kind of pulled from that. But for today, the introductory level of Sam of Beuschel Knives, established in 2018. How can they find you? And where, like, how would you like to be contacted if anybody wanted a knife?
Oh, well, thank you. Instagram is probably the best way, or texting me. But I do have a website.
Okay.
And my contact information is on there.
Okay.
I had a problem with the website actually not sending me emails.
Uh-oh.
And I think that problem has been fixed. But
okay.
Yeah, so it's
Instagram.
Yep. Yeah, Instagram's the way to go, I think. And it's just Beuschel Knives.
Cool.
BEU.
Sweet. And I will attach that to the show notes here on the podcast. But before you go,
you guys heard it today, though, before you say whatever you were going to say. He's currently undervaluing his knives, so get them while it's good.
Get them now. Get them while they're hot.
Get them while they're cheap,
Yeah. Yeah. No pun intended with hot.
Mention the Suffer Up podcast, and I'll definitely work a deal.
Yeah. We did
$5 off.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. We did a giveaway of one of your knives. One of
Free
our
photos of Nate as a child included.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. So, but thanks so much for coming on, Dad. We appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we are thankful that we were able to kind of share some of those things. We typically kind of end the podcast with a question, but you kind of almost hit it, but we'll ask it again. You go ahead and ask it, Ryan. You're always the one to ask it.
Yeah. I mean, you have kind of talked about some of this, but I want to hear what you actually answer it. So, is there a time in your life where you suffered or you went through a challenge and you came through the other side and you could look back and say, yeah, that was for a purpose. It ended up being beneficial.
Yeah. So I think my answer to that is kind of the theme in my life. I think that when those times of difficulty and struggles have happened, I haven't at the time realized that that really was what I was going through. I didn't recognize the purpose at the moment that was happening, which is probably common for people in general.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I think one of the things was really struggling with the trap that I had given myself or caused myself by my thought processes. So a period of depression that came at the end of a long period in my life, really, of dwelling and focusing more on the negatives than the positives about people, a person in particular, and not disciplining myself mentally to renew the mind, like the Bible tells us we should be renewing our mind, and that comes through God's word. And so there was a theme, right? Neglecting God's word in my life, like I shouldn't have. So then, if you're not reading it, you can't live it. You're not being renewed, and then focusing on the negatives, and then during COVID, being on night shift, and being somewhat socially isolated because of my knife business. I had gotten so busy, I was like working 2 jobs. So I stayed on nights the whole time. So I had withdrawn from social contact, focusing on negative thought processes around many things, and then not renewing my mind. And I really started suffering with depression. I really started struggling and suffering with depression and anxiety. I'd started an antidepressant medication, which in some ways was helpful, but and I'm not saying that was a bad thing, but it was a sign of the symptoms, that the underlying symptoms I hadn't really addressed. But then God, by His grace, brought me through that to where I came out on the other side. Now, like you say, hindsight's 20/20, realizing what I need to do to prevent that from happening in the future.
Yeah.
So that suffering was for the purpose of my betterment ultimately, in recognizing, again, those character deficits that I need to improve to prevent that from happening and live a victorious life and live a life of happiness. And that's what God calls us to. That's why He saves us. He has a plan for our lives, and He wants us to be happy. He wants us to reflect Himself, and He wants us to be like His Son, because obviously His Son is perfect. And I think we know from reading the Bible that God is well pleased with Jesus. So if we can be like Him, right? So that's why we have His Word. So that's not maybe the most succinct answer that you perhaps had hoped for, but
No, that's perfect. And you said it was all that suffering you found was for your purpose to, recognize those things, but it's also for this purpose right here, right now, that you're able to share that with us and with everyone that's listening. It's kind of the catch that nobody recognizes when we ask this question. No matter what you share, you're creating a new purpose for it right now by sharing it. Somebody else will get something out of this, I hope, and it will be beneficial to them, help them recognize maybe a deficiency in their life and prevent the same problem from happening to them. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was going to say that now I can also help other people with the knowledge that I've learned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've said that same thing about the relationship with my dad and how that's been restored, but how much loss and pain there is in that. But now I have that in my life, and I feel like at some point I can use my own experience to help somebody else, somebody who's maybe having a struggle with their parent and wants to like break relationship. I don't know if that's going to be the scenario, but that's the person I want to speak to and say, well, there's a big cost with that.
Yeah.
Or someone who's maybe considering divorce and has children. Like there's a lifetime consequence cost that comes with that decision. And there's other options. And this is how you can help. Don't focus on the negative thoughts. And remember the downside to some of the decisions we might make in our weakness, in our weak moments that could affect you and your family for the rest of your life. So yeah, things that I've been through, I hope I can use to help others.
Yeah.
Very,
Really
very
good,
much so.
Dad. Thanks so much for coming on with us and
My pleasure.
sharing some of your backstory.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to make sure that we have Beuschel knives in there. We're going to make sure any other contact or any other information you want, we'll have it all in the show notes for you. So you can share this with your circles. So
thanks.
Thanks again, guys, for tuning into another episode of the Suffer Up Podcast with Nate and Ryan, as well as the guest today, my dad, Sam Beuschel. Again, you can find him on Instagram, Beuschel Knives, if you just like to talk with him and make a connection. Or if you'd like to purchase a custom-made knife from him, he'd be happy to serve you in that way. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. You guys stay tuned every Monday for a new episode. We love y'all, and as always,
suffer up.